Have you ever finally sat down after a long day, only to immediately start thinking about everything you should be doing? Maybe the dishes are still in the sink. Laundry is still waiting. Maybe there are emails you haven't answered. Or maybe there's projects you have been putting off. You finally have a moment to rest, and instead of feeling relaxed, you feel guilty. If you ever experience that, you are not alone. Today, I want to talk about why rest feels so hard. I don't think the problem is that women don't know how to rest. I think many of us don't know how to rest without feeling guilty about it. I think part of the reason rest feels difficult is because we've spent years being rewarded for being busy. Society praises busy people. We're impressed by packed schedules. We celebrate productivity. We admire people who are constantly accomplishing things. Somewhere along the way, many of us start believing that our value comes from what we produce, from what we accomplish, from how much we can get done. Being productive feels valuable. Being busy feels responsible. Being constantly occupied starts to feel normal. And when that becomes your normal state, slowing down can actually feel uncomfortable. Because your mind isn't used to stillness. It's used to movement, checking things off. It's used to doing. Sometimes I wonder, when did being busy become a badge of honor? I think this is where many women get stuck. We finally sit down, but we don't actually rest. We're physically sitting still, but mentally we're still working. We're thinking about chores, errands, and we're thinking about all the things that still need to be done. The to-do list starts running through our minds, and before you know it, guilt shows up. We start feeling like we should be doing something, anything. Even when we're exhausted, even when we've already done enough for one day. Sometimes the hardest part of rest isn't finding the time. Sometimes it's quietly the guilt that shows up when we finally stop moving. I think we also need to challenge the idea that rest is somehow lazy. Because rest isn't laziness. Rest serves a purpose. Recovery serves a purpose. Human beings were never designed to produce nonstop. We're not machines. We're people. People need pauses. People need recovery. People need movement, moments to breathe. And yet, many women treat rest like it's something they have to earn. As if exhaustion is the price of admission. As if rest only becomes acceptable after every task is complete. But that's not how our minds or bodies work. Rest isn't weakness. Rest isn't laziness. Rest is a need, not a reward. Have you ever noticed how easily we give grace to other people? If a friend told you she was exhausted, you'd probably tell her to take a break. If your daughter was overwhelmed, you would encourage her to rest. If someone you loved was struggling, you remind them to slow down. You show compassion, understanding. You tell them they don't have to do everything, but when it comes to ourselves, the conversation often changes. We're harder on ourselves, more demanding, less forgiving. We expect ourselves to keep going, to push through, to figure it out. And sometimes I think the question we need to ask ourselves is this: would you talk to your best friend the way you talk to yourself? And another reason why rest feels so hard, because we're waiting for a finish line that does not exist. There's always something else to do. Another email, another chore, another responsibility, another task. The list never completely disappears, and yet many women tell ourselves, I'll rest later. After the house is clean, after work is done, after everything is caught up, after life settles down. But when does that actually happen? Because life keeps moving. New responsibilities replace old ones. New tasks replace completed ones. The work may never be completely finished. But that doesn't mean you don't deserve rest today. Sometimes we make rest harder than it needs to be. We imagine it has to be a vacation, a spa day, a weekend getaway, something elaborate, something expensive. But real rest often looks much simpler than that. Sometimes rest is sitting quietly with a cup of coffee. Sometimes it's taking a walk. Sometimes it's reading a few pages of a book. Sometimes it's journaling. Sometimes it's sitting on your porch with a glass of iced tea. And sometimes it's doing absolutely nothing. Small moments count. Quiet moments matter. And they deserve just as much value as the bigger moments. Maybe this is what I hope women take away from today's conversation. You don't have to earn every break. You don't need approval. You don't need permission from everyone around you. Rest is part of caring for yourself, not something you receive after you've proven your worth. You are allowed to pause. You are allowed to breathe. You are allowed to slow down. You are allowed to choose yourself sometimes, because rest isn't something you achieve, it's something you allow. Before we end today's conversation, I want to leave you with a question. When was the last time you truly rested without feeling guilty? Not scrolling, not multitasking, not thinking about everything you should be doing, just resting. And what would it look like to give yourself permission to do that this week? You don't need permission from anyone else. Maybe you don't need to earn it. Maybe you don't need to prove you've done enough. Maybe rest has been available to you all along. Maybe the permission you've been waiting for can come from you. Thank you for spending this time with me. And until next time, take care of yourself too.